Taurus season is here, inviting us to drop in, be present, listen, feel embodied. And today we're going to be talking about that Taurus New Moon, which is just around the corner. We're going to be breaking down the chart and expanding upon all the important aspects which fall within this 2-week umbrella period. I'm Catherine Urban. I'm an astrologer with over 16 years of astrological immersion, practice, and study. And we're going to be breaking it all down to offer you as much clarity about what the heck is going on during these uncertain times to help us feel aligned with something. So let's pull up that chart and let's get into it. So here's our new moon chart for the new moon in Taurus. This is occurring on April 27th, 2025 at 3:31 p.m. Eastern Time, so be sure to adjust for your time zone. Once again, this is another lunation that is ruled by Venus, and Venus is still retaining that same fierce conjunction with Saturn and the North Node. And if you tuned in with me last time for the full moon in Libra, we spent a lot of time talking about this aspect. And we've been talking about this aspect since early April when it first came into view. So I want to check in with you all. How are you all doing with this? Because I've been talking about this aspect nonstop, it seems like, in my sessions with my clients, in my own life, in like with friends and with family members even. I mean, this is a powerful aspect that is absolutely dominating the skies. And this is one that, as I mentioned last time, it's all about figuring out, can we work through this? And I think Venus in Pisces really feels like love can conquer all. Like, is it love if it doesn't have a victorious story? If it doesn't have a story of overcoming? And I talk a lot about this, but Pisces being like this dual sign, and we have these like peaks and valleys, one fish swimming up, one fish swimming down. It's that cycle of agony and ecstasy that Venus really lives for in this sign. It's like it drives the romantic allure forward almost. And so here it's like, yeah, Venus likes that there's something to overcome. It feels like we're doing this together. And maybe not though. I mean, for some people, Venus conjunct Saturn is the clarity, it's the closure. And then you have those inner peaks and valleys that are going on as we navigate our relationship with love, as we navigate our relationship with relationships. Because Saturn can often show this very open and anything is possible Venus, that boundaries are important. And sometimes we have to be realistic. Sometimes we have to believe people when they tell us who they are. In any case, we're all going through some sort of either major relationship thing with Saturn where we're trying to put in that effort in order to reach a certain ideal. Or I've been seeing people go through it with their relationship with themselves and their own connection with their beauty, like realizing what's for me and what's not for me. I've been seeing people go through this with finance too. This can also be one where it's like that contrast between what the ideal is and what we're striving for versus what is. And I know we've talked about that on the world stage, about how this aspect is absolutely driving up the cost of things, and Saturn is the consequence. Having to face what that really means. And I know a lot of people are having to swallow some major disappointment. This is a really big time of humility for people who maybe wish they made a different choice a few months ago in the election season. But anyhow, I just wanted to check in with you all because I know that this has been a really major aspect for people, and it feels like it's all I've been talking about. On that note, while we're on the subject of Venus, I do want to just reiterate that Venus here again rules Taurus. So that's why we're talking about Venus. Venus is ruling this lunation. Now, here's the thing though, is that Taurus energy, the Taurus new moon, it's a time where we are striving to get grounded. We are striving to create more ease, more stability, more consistency, because those things are pleasurable. I mean, unless you're a Gemini. I don't know. Some Geminis have Taurus placements, but for many of us, Taurus really represents comfort, stability, security, loyalty, dropping in and being present, creating spaces and rituals and routines that are comfortable, familiar. We can depend on them, things that we can rest our head on. We know they're always going to be there. Things like food, things like best friends. These are things that we want them to always be there. And being ruled by this Venus-Saturn, it's like we're realizing that maybe they're not always going to be there. We have to put the work into it. We have to put the work in to ensure that. We can't take anything for granted right now. And I think Taurus knows that, having just been living with Uranus moving through Taurus since 2017. We're going to see Uranus move into Gemini in July, by the way. We're not going to talk about that today, but just want to put that out there. So that's sort of the impetus of Taurus season, striving to create something that feels secure and delightful. And that's the motivation here with Venus-Saturn is, can we get there? Can we move through this obstacle, hurdle, rough patch, whatever? Can we get to a place of understanding? I think right now with Venus and Pisces, the answer and the belief is still yes. Now, Venus is going to move into Aries. This is going to happen on the 30th of April. So we've animated the chart forward. Now we're here on April 30th. This is when Venus moves into Aries, and we're going to see a little bit of a plot twist. So while Venus in Pisces working with Saturn on the North Node is like, we can overcome anything. I'm really giving it my all. Venus in Aries is going to change the tune. Like if things haven't smoothed out, if Venus hasn't seen the progress that she was really hoping for, Venus in Aries is the temptation to just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to move on. We're going to move on. I'm going to focus on me. That's something I do have control over. I know that my happiness is really important. I'm going to do me. Let's say we were successful with our obstacle. It could be the same thing, but we're still experiencing a little shift in energy, whereas Venus in Aries now says, okay, we worked on it. I'm glad. I'm happy that things are where they are. Now I'm going to kind of like focus on myself a little bit, but I still love you. So it's a little bit of an energy change, because while Venus in Pisces is extremely devoted and focused on cultivating those love sparks a little bit more intentionally, Venus in Aries is a little bit more focused on what makes ourselves happy. And that's also a very important ingredient in the love recipe, is that two halves do not make a whole. We have to feel whole within ourselves in order to bring that full-bodiedness. Again, we're Taurus season. We want to be embodied. We want to be sensual. Like Taurus season is sensual. And I don't know. I think I feel the best when I have space to work on myself and feel right in my head and feel right in my energy. And I'm going to bring that to all of the spaces and relationships that I frequent. So this is also really great for those Venus-Saturn goals if they don't feel 100% complete yet. Venus is running into Neptune. This is exciting because, as we know, Neptune is new in the Aries scene. This is going to be a transit we're working with for the next 14 years. So here, we're planting a new seed. Venus conjunct Neptune, this is a new fantasy. This is a new idea of what we find attractive, or what we desire for ourselves, what we desire in the world, what we find attractive and appealing in other people, in situations, aesthetically. As I've said before, Neptune really influences pop culture and the things that we're enamored with collectively, the things that we become infatuated with. So what we see right here is a trend being born. So I want us all to pay attention. What's emerging and what's shifting within your heart and what you find attractive. In our relationships, even though there is a little bit of a plot twist with Venus changing signs, there's something still to be idealized here. Like, let's say that whatever was resolved with Venus-Saturn, or maybe it wasn't resolved, but you got clarity on, still resolved in a sense. Now we can fall in love with a new vision of what's possible. I mean, this is like early degree Aries, like there's something new, feeling a sense of hope or possibility about what's next. So this aspect is going to be exact on May 3rd. So again, watch for the things that are mesmerizing and head turning. And just so you know, Venus is in detriment here in Aries. So the things that we find ourselves enamored with or attracted to may be a little bit more unconventional, or they may be something really provocative, something really exciting, or beauty with an edge, like something really edgy. Like people have been talking about like tattoos or piercings, how that can be like a very Mars-Venus type thing. So keep that in mind as inspiration. We're going to be working with Venus in Aries for about a month. Now, animating the chart a step further, on May 4th, may the 4th be with you, we've got Pluto stationing retrograde. And so speaking of force, Pluto is a force. And we're going to be feeling those Plutonian tectonic rumblings happening up to a few days before the station. So I would say like as early as May 1st, we may be feeling the rumblings of Pluto, and leading a few days forward, even until like the 7th or the 8th even. But yeah, we're seeing this Pluto station. This one's kind of unique because this is the first time that Pluto's going to be stationing retrograde and not going back into Capricorn. This is, again, the first full calendar year where we're going to see Pluto fully rooted in Aquarius. So what to expect with the Pluto station? In my experience, Pluto stations always sort of gravitate us inward. There's something really profound inside that wants to be heard. What we hear a lot with Pluto is that it's the wisdom of the shadow that wants a word. So a lot of times like our shadow self wants to come forward. There's things about our inner world that need to be noticed, especially if you're having a Pluto transit, especially if this transit is talking to something in your chart. But even if you're not having a Pluto transit in particular, maybe you're not feeling that deep inner process wanting to emerge into our psyche a little bit more prominently, but maybe you're noticing that conversations are just a little bit more deep. They're going to those more soulful, soul connection kind of places. We want to have the serious talks. We want to bare our soul to someone, tell how we really feel, bring something to the surface. That's really what Pluto wants to do, is bring things to the surface. So this is a time when secrets come out, truth comes out. So this isn't the time to have like light-hearted, light conversations with people that you barely know. This is like where you make instant quick friends with someone because the conversation just instantly goes deep. So just know that this really isn't the time to skate around on the surface. I think part of like this Taurus new moon, which is, I mean, Taurus does want to keep things like beautiful and easeful, but there's also a major aspect of Taurus that wants to sink in. And so I think that that's where we could connect this Pluto station. Like this is a time of sinking in. And yeah, like Venus with Neptune, it's looking for some elevation after some talks that have been maybe more serious with Saturn. We're looking for some elevation. And to get that, maybe it's about that kind of Plutonian honesty, like really dropping in, really being present. And that's where the magical experience can be. Because Venus, Neptune, that could be just like having experiences in relationships that really elevate and inspire. So I think we're still really focused on relationships in this lunation, but the tone is changing a little bit. So in the world with Pluto stationing, we're going to see definite demonstrations of power, truths coming out, hidden information coming out. And this is where we may hear some things that we wish we weren't hearing with Pluto. But in any case, Pluto does invite us to drop in and ask those deeper questions as they pertain to what our truth really truly is and how we're living in alignment with that, as well as what the truth is in the world. I think Pluto reminds us that all of this is temporary, and how do we really want to live in accordance of how we can make the most impactful change, not just for ourselves as souls experiencing this lifetime, but how we can live in alignment with that truth in the world. Pluto is all about like the realist stuff. So as we drop in and connect with that, we also want to be maybe listening. And speaking of listening, Mercury is moving into Taurus on May 10th. And this is a really great time to cultivate serenity of mind. And yes, drop in and listen. Be present. Meditate. Do things that are enjoyable. Intentionally take in information which is more pleasing, affirming, or pleasurable. So definitely keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening out there. But this may be a 2-week period because Mercury's moving really fast at this point. Mercury's only going to be in Taurus for 2 weeks. This may be a time of intentionally taking in information which is delightful. Read a novel for your pleasure. Abstain from doom scrolling. Choose stillness. Do whatever you can to regain some semblance of mental, just like stability, like how you feel at most at ease. And by doing that, maybe just taking in the information which feels affirming or enjoyable, because in 2 weeks Mercury's going to be in Gemini, and that's when we're going to want all the information. That's when Mercury gets really busy and we're juggling a lot of things. And yeah, enjoy the stillness. Enjoy the stillness for right now. Take in music, which is beautiful, calming, delightful. You get the idea. The last thing I wanted to talk about here is, while this aspect isn't exact, Jupiter is a slow-moving planet and is moving slowly into an exact square with the nodal axis. So we've got the North Node in Pisces, we've got the South Node in Virgo, and this is going to be something that perfects on the 14th through the 15th of May, but we're basically feeling it for the entire month of May. And one thing that immediately comes to mind is the passing of Pope Francis, and how I thought he was a great pope. I think people liked him. I think he was more progressive and anyways, much less controversial than some of the other ones. But yeah, and he had a lot of humility too, which people liked. Anyways, I would think that a lot of times a planet squaring the nodal axis represents a choice. And so this could be showing up on the world stage as the choice, like who's going to wear that hat next. And I don't know, I've been talking about it with a few of my colleagues, and we're all kind of in agreement that coming into power, like religious power under a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, is probably not the most favorable. It's probably not going to be someone that people loved as much as Pope Francis. This is probably going to be someone who's a little bit more controversial and probably a little bit more conservative in nature, as that's what this aspect tends to bring about. Pope Francis was actually came into power when the Saturn and Neptune were in a trine. So it was a much more agreeable time, I would say. But for us personally, this could be a choice on our philosophical path, what we believe in, what values we align with in terms of our morality, what we feel is fair and just and right. And choices in how we enjoy too. I've been talking with a lot of people who are making choices, different choices about how they find delight in their life by divesting in these big box companies. So I know a lot of people who have been like doing the boycott with Tesla, with Target and Amazon and all that. And I think Jupiter here can help people make those decisions. My sister-in-law sent me, like, she's giving me these strawberry plants, and she sent me like how to build this contraption that will protect them from bunnies and whatnot. And it looks like quite a commitment to build it. But I mean, if you really are choosing this path where you're like, I want to choose local, I want to choose what's sustainable, then maybe it's worth it to build this big, beautiful contraption in your yard. And so Jupiter might present choices like that. Like what do I believe is good anymore? Like, what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be a good person? And, those things might be universal, or those things might shift along your path as you grow and evolve as a person. And again, Neptune in Aries is kind of like shifting what we value. And also Pluto in Aquarius is changing our world. So this could be a good moment of checking in with those morals that we hold true to ourselves. So drop in, be present. It's a Taurus New Moon. Ask those big, deep questions, Pluto, and make good choices. So that is your astrology shot, your astrology forecast for the Taurus New Moon. I hope it's good for you. I hope it's grounding. I hope it's nourishing. I hope it elevates your levels of feeling joy, pleasure, delight, and nourishment with Taurus. I hope it brings peace of mind. I hope it brings clarity. And as Venus is in Aries, I hope you love yourself. I hope you're feeling that sense of inner love so that you can be that force of light in the world. Anyways, I hope you all have a great couple of weeks, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Thanks so much for tuning in with me today. For more astrology in your world, you can connect with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine. You can also find me at catherineurban.com, where you can book your year ahead astrological consultation. We'll zero in on your natal chart, your secondary progressions, your perfections, your solar return, and we've even got the monthly breakdowns and transits, of course. You can also connect with me for horary astrology, which is a divinational form of astrology, which allows you to ask one specific question by email. We also have electional services, rectification services, and I also have a whole slew of webinars available for download. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Thank you. Bye.